Okay. So today I'll talk about Flutter. I'm sure you guys now you're familiar with what object-oriented programming is. So today I'm going to introduce you to Flutter because you guys have a project. So it would be best for you guys to jump on Flutter right now so that you can be familiar with Flutter. So the number of things that you need to set up Flutter on your machine, the way it's pretty much almost similar to what you did with that. So in this case, you have to download, you have to go to flutter.dev. Of course, this is the first step what you're supposed to do. So go to flutter.dev, then you go to get started. Then from here, sorry about that. So from here, you have to select the operating system that you are using. So if you're using Windows, you select Windows. If you're using Mac OS, you select Mac OS. If you're using one of these, you can just select just like that. So in this case, I'm going to show you how you can install it on Windows. So the first thing first, you have to like click Windows, of course. And from there, this will be the first thing that you guys are going to see. And here it will tell you the requirements that are needed for you to install and run Flutter. So these are the system, I would say environmental minimum requirements. So you need at least an operating system like Windows 10 or latest. Disk space, you need approximately about 1.6 4 GB. And you also need these tools. So if you're using Windows 10, Windows PowerShell comes with Windows 10, so you don't worry, you don't have to download this. And so this is the item that you need to download. From this, you have to get Git. So you just click Git here. So we can even right click and open it in a new tab or something so that you can, you don't close this page, you know. So from here, you just have to select where it's saying 64-bit Git for whatever. I'm sure you guys are using 64-bit Windows. So you just select here. Once you just click here, it will automatically start downloading. But I already have it on my machine, so I don't need to download this thing. Yeah, so we can just cancel it. Yeah, from there. So from here now, what you're supposed to do, you have to go back. Sorry, this thing is really okay. Just a minute. Okay, so that's gone. So yeah, so you have to download this, the Git for Windows. And you just have to follow the instruction on how to just install it the way you install any software. And after this, you jump to here where it's saying get the Flutter SDK. So you're supposed to download the Flutter SDK. Currently, this is the latest version, which is 3.7. You can just download it at the end of the day, whether you have the old version or the latest version, it doesn't matter. You can still create applications. So you just click here, it automatically start downloading. You just click here, it automatically just like that. And as you can see here, the size is like around 870 something MBs. So you have to download the SDK. So it's pretty much, like I said, it's pretty much the same thing with that what we did, where when you download the SDK, you have to install it somewhere. You have to install it somewhere. So like in this case, you can install it in Drive C or something like that, just like that. So like here, hello?
Maybe you can drop these links in the chat.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, for Flutter and Git, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, so let me just drop for Flutter, and I also drop for Git as well. Where's this Git? For Git, this is Git. So let me just copy the link, copy link, paste it here. So yeah, so there's for Flutter SDK, and there's also for Git there in the chat. So make sure that you open them If you want, you can even start downloading if you're on your PC right now, most especially the Flutter SDK, because it's big. It's like 800 MB or something like that. So yeah, when you're done installing Git, then you start now, you have to install now the SDK. So with the SDK, it's pretty much the same thing what we did with that. So what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to extract the zip file. This is a zip file, and place the container Flutter in the desired installation location for the Flutter SDK. So you have to put it somewhere. You have to unzip it and put the folder somewhere. So in this case, in my case, let me try to share my entire screen. I don't know whether you guys can even see when I go maybe to my, can you see my directory? Can you see my folder?
No, we can't. We're only seeing the Flutter.
Let me just share my entire screen. I'm sure now you can see, right?
Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay, yeah. So in my case, what I did after I downloaded it, I went here, the local disk C, and from here I just paste it here. If you want, you can paste it here, or if you want, you can just follow the instructions, like what they have recommended, where you create another folder. You just call it SRC, and inside that's where you paste the folder. So like here, this is the folder for Flutter. This is how it looks once it's unzipped. So the next thing that you have to do, you have to make sure that this Flutter SDK is available on your path environment, so that you can easily use the commands for Flutter when you're in your terminal or console. So the first thing, the thing that you have to do, you have to open the folder, of course, Flutter. Then you go to bin, and when you open bin, you just copy the directory, as you can see here. So it's in drive C, folder Flutter, and bin. You copy this, then you search for environment variables. So you just type edit if you're on Windows, environment variables, just like that. So you open like this, then you click where it's saying path, you edit, then you can add it like the way I've added it. So just maybe like click here where it's saying new, then you paste like this, then you save. Since I already have it there, as you can see. So yeah, then after you paste, you just click OK, again OK, just like that. Then you have installed Flutter on your machine. So after that now, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to, okay, we have already updated, that's updating the path, by the way, what we were doing. That's the whole thing. So it's just telling you how you can do that, by the way. And okay, so from here now, so what you're supposed to do now, you're supposed to run Flutter Doctor. So in my case, if I run Flutter Doctor, let me just open my terminal, you see what will happen. So if I say Flutter Doctor, it's going to check whatever is missing, and it will tell you if something is missing so that you can download it or we can install it. But if everything is set, it will tell you that everything is okay. So right now it's trying to check if everything is okay. So right now, yeah. So now that it's done, say checking, it will tell you that no issues found. But in your case, you find a number of these things are missing. You get the point. So like here, they're saying that there's a need of a Flutter SDK, so it's already installed. After that, there's also Android toolchain, and you also need the toolchain, of course. You need Chrome installed. You need Visual Studio. Of course, I know that you guys have Chrome. I'm sure you guys have Visual Studios. Then you also need, this is the biggest thing that you need, Android Studio. So the Android Studio will enable you to develop Android-based application. So this one is going to provide you with tools like emulators. You get the point. So these are some of the things that you guys will be utilizing when you are using VS Code. So the next thing that you're supposed to download is Android Studio. if you don't have it. So for you to download Android Studio, you just have to go to Android. I'll also paste the link. So you go to Android. Let me just let it load or something. And let me paste the URL here. So that's the link. Once you reach here, the first thing you have to do is you just click where it's saying download Android Studio. Sorry about that. You have to agree to the terms and conditions. So then you just click download or something. I already have Android Studio. In Android Studio, it's somewhere like 900 MB. Somewhere. So you need Android Studio. So when your Android Studio is set up, you're done downloading your Android Studio. Let me just open Android Studio so that I teach you guys how to set it up. So you install it the way you install any other softwares. And by the way, if you want to use an Android emulator, you need to make sure that your VM accelerator is enabled on your machine. So how you can check that your virtualization is enabled on your machine, what you're supposed to do, you can just, if you're on Windows, you can just go to Task Manager. So just right-click here, right-click here, then you go to Open Task Manager. When you open Task Manager, you go to Performance. Under CPU here, there's this where it's saying virtualization. It has to make sure that it's enabled. Of course, I'm sure most of you guys, it's already enabled, but sometimes you find that your machine, the virtualization is not enabled. So what you're supposed to do now, you're supposed to enable it. You can use the BIOS to enable it. So you go to the BIOS, when the computer is starting there, it depends with the type of computer. On my computer, just click F10. And from there, I go to BIOS and I enable it. If it's not enabled, you discover that after installing everything and it's not enabled, and you don't know how to enable it using BIOS, what you're supposed to do, you can just reach out to me or Eric or one of our instructors to help you, because like I said, it depends with the machine. So if I tell you this, if I tell you how I can enable it on my machine, it won't be the same thing with your machine. So the best is just to contact us, or you just go on YouTube and Google the specific machine that you're using so that you can enable it. But if you can't do that, you can still like reach out to me or one of the instructors or Eric, the one who is on call right now, to help you enable it. It's not something that's very difficult, actually. It's just pressing buttons. Yeah, so let me just open the studio. Let's hope my computer can handle everything right now, whatever is happening. So yeah.
Yeah, I've
okay,
dropped
that's
my number in the chat in case anyone may need to reach out for assistance.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, what's happening? Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay, let me try to minimize this thing now. It's about 2 or something like 4. Just a minute. Okay. Let me just let me just do this selection. Yeah. So this is Android Studio. When you're done installing it and everything like that, it will look something similar to something like this. When you install your Android Studio, it looks something like this. But one thing that I wanted to show you, which is very, very important, is you going where it's saying tools there. You go to tools when it's done installing. Go to tools, and you go to, I think SDK Manager. Just a minute, let me see. Yeah, you go to SDK Manager. Then from here, you go to where it's saying SDK Tools. Once you are here, you have to, there are certain things that you're supposed to install. This one, you're supposed to, this one won't be like installed on your machine. It's called Android SDK command line tools. So this one is relating to Yeah. So tools. So this one will enable you to work with to work with the command line. So like whatever command that you enter here, you can easily do some Android commands. Let's just maybe starting with or something to do with maybe like emulators and other stuff. This is the guy that you're supposed to install. It's called Android SDK command line 2. And from here, what else are you supposed to check? I think that's the only thing. But it depends also. You can also install this one. That's saying Intel X emulator accelerator. You also need to install this one as well. So this two and this, that's it when you are done with Android from the SDK tool. Sorry. So after that, the next thing that you're supposed to do, you will need to download an operating system for the emulator. So you just go to tools again, just like that. This time you go to, I think, device manager. You go to device manager. So here I have different types of devices that I already like created. In your case, there won't be anything here. To be just an empty list. It's me who created all these devices. These devices are nothing but emulators. So in your case, it will be just empty with this button that's saying create device. So you go to, you click create device. And from here, you have different types of devices that you can use to test whatever that you're building. So if maybe you're building an application, if you're creating an application for a mobile phone, you have to make sure that you select one of these phones that are listed here, as you can see. If you want to download a tablet, you just go tablet. So these are different types of Android platforms. So there's phones, there are tablets, Wear OS. So this is something to do with watches, the TV, automotive. But in your case, it will be a phone. So you can just select one of these phones. You can select, let's just say maybe a Pixar 6 Pro or something. When you select this, you say next. Now here, these are different types of operating system for Android. In your case, you have to download. Here, as for me, I downloaded this one, which is 33. API level 33. I think this is the latest, if I'm not mistaken. So from here, if you want, you can download something that's latest. If you want, you can download something that's old or something. And there are different types of Android versions here showing you. This is Android 12L, and it's called SV2. This one is Q, this is R. If you're familiar with Android version names, I'm sure you guys will be able to pick it up from here. So there's R, there's Q, there's Pi. I'm sure you remember Nugget or something. Yeah, so from here, you can just select. I would advise you to get something that's latest. But if you want to test your mobile application with older devices, you can pretty much come here again and download something that's old. Like I think the oldest on this list is 5.1, which is Lollipop. So if you want, you can use Marshmallow. But right now, currently, I think few phones are running with old operating system like Lollipop. You get the point, like 5.1. So if you're testing maybe your phone, you can just maybe look at maybe 6.0 or something like that. But anyway, you have to select an operating system here. Once you select here, you have to make sure that you download. So you can just download with this arrow button that's showing, with this download icon, sorry, that's showing here. So you click the icon, then it will automatically start downloading. When it is done, you just select the same operating system that you've just downloaded, and you just do next. Then from here, you can even name your device. So let's just say maybe Pixar Pro API 33. I'll just say new device so that you guys can be able to see it being listed on that list of different devices. Just leave everything the way they are. And just leave everything the way they are. Then you just click finish. Then automatically your device will be listed here. As you can see here, so it's saying Pixar 6 Pro API and your device, just like that. Then from here now, you close Android Studio. And when you're done closing the Android Studio, the other next thing that you guys have to do, so you have to agree to the Android licenses. So this is very, very important. If you don't, nothing will be working, you know. So you have to enter this command. So it's called Flutter Doctor Android licenses. So you just copy it and you paste it in your terminal like this. In my case, it will tell me that I've already accepted the licenses, I think. But with you guys, it will be like you have to accept using Y or something. There's Y and N. Y means yes, N means no. So you just continue using Y just like that. Y enter until you accept all the licenses. Then after that, the next thing that you have to do, you have to select the editor that you'll be using. So this is very, very important. So I would advise you to use VS Code. VS Code is a lightweight editor that you guys can utilize. So I have it here, as you can see. So this is VS Code. Let me just open a new window. I close this. Yeah. So this is VS Code. This is the guide that you guys will be using. So from here, what's next? Okay, yeah. So after this, you can run some tests to see if everything is okay using the same command that we have used, that we used. It's called Flutter Doctor, to make sure that everything is checked. If you're having some errors, actually most of the times, if there's an error, it will even tell you what to do. If you don't understand anything about the error and you're failing to solve that error, so what you're supposed to do, you can just easily reach us so that we can help you. Eric already dropped the line. Let me also drop my line so that if Eric is busy, you can still reach me as well. So that's my line. So you can save it. My name is Laxon. So yeah, so you have to make sure that everything's checked so that you don't run into problems when you're developing. So yeah, so from here, if everything is checked, meaning that now you can run Flutter, or you can create Flutter now. You can create Flutter applications. So if everything is okay, like the way it is right now, the next thing now you have to do now is to create a Flutter application. Anyway, before I start showing you how you can create a Flutter application, Eric, did I miss anything?
No, I think we've covered everything. Usually the most important thing obviously is installing the Flutter SDK, which you explained, as well as Git, adding it to the path. So yeah, I think we haven't left anyone behind. If you've got those two steps, if you don't miss those two steps, you have your Flutter installed, you have Android Studio as well, and Git. There should be no stopping you. Like those are the technologies you need to start building things with Flutter. So I think we can introduce them to building like a starter app with Flutter.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if everything is okay, so the next thing that you guys have to do, okay, you have to like create an application for you to start working, or for you to start building your application. So the first thing first, you have to make sure that you select the folder where you want to store your application. So in this case, I'm going to store it in here where it's saying PLP. So I'm going to select projects, the different projects in here. So okay. Okay, I'm going to store it just right here. Okay, inside the project. So so when you, okay, forget about this. So these are some of the things that were already in the folder. So forget about all these things. Oh, let me just create another folder so that you guys don't make. So from here, you can just maybe create, say, okay, demo. It's a demo project or something. Okay, so select this folder that's empty so that you don't get confused with the things inside. Let's just wait for this thing to load. Yeah, my PC is performing right now. Okay, let's just wait for it to load. Okay, I think it's almost, okay, yeah, it's done. So I've selected a folder called demo project that I've just created. So this is where I want my application to be. So from here, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to open the terminal, and you have to, like, you're supposed to open the terminal and you enter now the command that you're going to be using. It's a command that you guys will be using to create an application. So just enter Flutter, sorry about that. So Flutter create, then the name of the name of the application. So like in this case, we're gonna maybe like name this one demo POP or demo family bank or family bank, like this. So Flutter create, then the name of the application, and you just enter. And you wait for Flutter to build your application. Yeah, so now our application has been created. I know the number of like folders and files here that don't make sense, but there's a special folder. I would say it's called lib. This is a folder. This is where your dat code will be. As you can see here, there's even a dat file. It's called main.dat. When you open it, there's some dat code inside. So before I start explaining what all this thing is and the functionality of all these folders, let me just show you guys what we have just created. So from here, what you're supposed to do, down here, there's in your case, I'm sure maybe sometimes you find that it will be just saying no device. Sometimes it will tag Chrome here, something like Chrome, but in this case, there is Windows. There's Windows. So here, this is where you select the device, the targeted device that you want to use to show this application or to build this application. So what you're supposed to do, just click here. Since we want to do a mobile phone, want to do an application for a mobile phone, so you just select here, then you look for the app for the for the emulator that you created. Remember this emulator that we created, it's called Pixel 6 Pro API 3 new device. So this is the device. So you have to select that device. This device is very big, so I will select another small device, something that will load fast so that we don't waste time. So let me just select this one here. It's going to load fast at least so that we don't waste much of our time. Okay. Yeah, let me just do this. Okay. Okay, so you can just move your VS Code. Okay, this thing is loading slow. Let's hope you guys can still get me. Okay, my computer is complaining right now. Hello, can you guys get me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. My computer is failing to process whatever is happening right now. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, from here, of course, there's the emulator this side. This is a small emulator, by the way. That's the reason I didn't want to open the big one. Otherwise, I don't think would have even like managed to even run it or something. Then this is where the code is. So you just click where it's saying run here for you to run the application. So you just wait for it to build an APK and install it on this emulator here. So this is pretty much more like a phone. So it's an Android phone. If you're using Mac, I'm sure you guys, if you want, you can use a Pixar. If you want, you can use an iPhone. But unfortunately, on Windows, you can only use an Android phone. So let's just wait for it to build an APK and then store it. Let's hope everything is clear as we're waiting for this. So if you have any question, you can just post them in the chat. Then after we are done with this, I'll answer them. Okay, so you have to be patient. Most of the times when you're starting, it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, let me just, maybe I can just contribute a bit. So yeah, guys, Android Studio is quite a heavy application. Takes up a lot of memory, but essentially, if you don't necessarily, you could also like build your apps just directly from your Android phone. If you just use the terminal, navigate to the directory of the project. If your Flutter installation is correct, you can just run your programs from your app from there and test it live on an actual device. So that's pretty exciting. So everything that you're seeing on the right is a combination of widgets, it's a combination of containers, combination of icons. So just wanted to show you. So this is the potential you have while you're developing with Flutter. So yeah, if you got any questions about maybe the code you see, you can definitely just like go ahead and ask. But yeah, this is essentially how you'd build an app using Flutter. We're just showing you the basics, making sure you got your installations right, and introducing you to Flutter slowly. So yeah, if you got any questions, please just let us know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is the whole thing about Flutter. I'm sure I just wanted to be done. Run this thing. It's taking ages. Okay, yeah, as it's loading, let me even start explaining what this is all about. So so the first thing first I'll explain is this folder called lib. So the lib folder is the main folder of a Flutter project. It contains the .dat code for your app, including the main.dat file, as you can see here. So which is the entry point. So this is the entry point of your application. So whatever files that you guys will be creating in this same folder, this main.dat file file is the main entry point. So, okay, let me, before I continue with the directories, the file structure, let me go back to the app so that you guys, so this is the application, as you can see here. So this is the name of the application. It's called Flutter demo. So this is the Flutter demo homepage. And this is the title, as you can see here. So it's called Flutter demo homepage. In fact, here we can even edit, and I can just say maybe home. And these are some of the buttons that you guys will be using a lot. So this one is called restart. So if you save, if you change something and you save, automatically, if you use a control S, if you automatically save, it will automatically reload and show you the results here on the other end, instead of you waiting for it to rebuild or something, which would have been very, very bad. So this is what we call like, it's more like hot reload. It automatically reloads the application and render it to the new changes. So this is what's happening. So this is nothing but comments. I'm sure you guys know. Let me just remove the comments so that you can see the code clearly. And okay, let me just remove everything so that I can explain properly. So let me just remove all these comments. Okay. So this application, it's a counter application. So meaning that if you click here where there is the plus button here, if you click here, it will start counting. So like as you can see here, there's 1. If I click again, it will say 2. If I click again, it will say 3. If I click again, 4, just like that. So it's adding 1 to the current value. So that's what this application is all about. So there's the title, as you can see. So that's the title that I was explaining to you. So here, the title called demo, Flutter demo, this is the title of the application. And this is the title that's showing in the navigation. Yeah, actually it's called an app bar. This one up here, the blue one. And so here, the first thing, of course, when you just look at this, I'm sure you guys are familiar with what this is. This is the main function. We have been working with the main function since day 1. So this is the entry point of this application. This is the entry point file of the application. It's called main.dat. If you change it to something else, Flutter will complain. It will say, where is main.dat? So you don't edit. You have to make sure that you have main.dat file in your lib. So this will be the entry point, and this main.dat is the one that's supposed to have the main function here, because this is the entry point to every dat application. And remember, we are working with dat. This is nothing but dat. So this is the main function, and there's a constructor here. As you can see, it's getting another constructor, which is being instantiated, which is the my app constructor. So this my app constructor is for this class. I'm sure you guys, you know what the class is. And this class, my app, this is a custom class. So someone created this called my app. And this my app is inheriting from stateless widget. So stateless widgets is also a class. It's an abstract class, by the way. So if you just hover on top of it, you can read more about it and the functionalities and everything. But in your case, what your guys is supposed to know is that when you inherit from a stateless widget, there's a function that you're supposed to, there's a method that you're supposed to override. There's a method that you're supposed to override. It's called build. And this build, it has a written type of a widget. It has a written type of a widget. So this is the build method. That's what we have overridden, I would say. So here, run function is run function or run method. This run app is the one that's it's more like the entry point of the application. So it's supposed to run something inside. So if you don't pass anything here, let's just say we do this, it will complain. It will tell you 1 position arguments expected but 0 found. So you have to pass in something. So this will be the parent widget of the application. One thing that you're supposed to understand is that widgets are nothing but pieces of things that you'll be using to build something. Widgets are more like Lego pieces. I'm sure you guys are familiar with what Lego piece is. They are more like Lego pieces. When you're trying to build something with Lego pieces, you always find something that fits with the other, right? So first of all, you are supposed to have an idea of whatever that you want to build. Let's just say maybe say, okay, you know what? I want to build something like a small house or something with Lego pieces, and I want it to look like this. You start organizing the pieces and you start putting them together so that you can build something that will make sense, or whatever that you're imagining. That's exactly that's how a Flutter works. You have all these different types of pieces, and these pieces are called widgets. It's up to you to build whatever that you want to build. So in this case, and the good part about Flutter is that these widgets, you can also create your own widget, your own customized widget, and you create it the way you want it to behave. You get the point? So you have already built in widgets, but you can also create your own so that you can create exactly what you're thinking in your mind. So in this case, this one called my app. It's a customized widget. It's not a built-in widget. It's something that you and I can create. So in this case, what Flutter did was when it was creating, it created this class. So this class is nothing but a widget. And this class, it's inheriting from stateless widget. So there are two types of, I would say, widgets. There is what we call a stateless widget. And there's stateless widget and stateful widget. These are types of widgets. A stateless widget, this is how it behaves. You have to make sure that you override the build method, as you can see here. And this is how it goes. So this is how it looks. This is how simple it is. So what's the functionality of this same stateless widget? A stateless widget is a non-mutable widget. You cannot change it. Like when it builds, unless you call it again to build, of which it has to be in a form of a state. And most of the times when it's in a form of a state, you cannot build it just like that. That's where now stateful widget comes in. A stateful widget is a mutable. I'm not really mutable, I'd say. Actually, yeah, I would say mutable. It changes by triggering it to change. So it has two parts. There is this part, and there's another part. The first part, it's more like the main part of the stateful widget, which overrides the state. Then this is the main widget. Then this one down here is the one that handles the states and everything like that. So this one is called I'll say state. Then this one is more like the stateless part of the stateful widget, I would say. That's the simplest I think I can put it. So don't be intimidated of whatever you're seeing right now here. For now, I want you to just focus on how you can utilize and use all these different types of, I would say, like widgets. The first thing first, just a minute. Let me try to, so that you guys can have an idea of what's happening right now. Okay. Let me do what? Okay, let me just maybe try to remove this so that we can build together and you can see what's happening here. So this is how, so this is the empt, I would say this is the empt file, it's main.dat. So the first thing first, for you to create all these, the stateless widget, stateful widget, you have to import it somewhere. So they are already created, they're built in, I would say. So you have to import so that you can use them. So for you to import, you have to use the import, of course. And use what we call material.dat. So this is the file that has everything. Let me just do this. Okay, let me just do this so that you guys can see. So yeah, so this is how it looks. It's in package, Flutter, material.dat. So this is where it is. This is where the information is. Whatever widget that you want to use, as long as it's a built-in widget, it's inside here. Or what if it's a built-in code, it's inside here. So from here, of course, you have to use the main function, the common function that we always use, which is main function. Okay, that's how you do it. So from here now, you have to create a widget so that you can run it using the run function here. Remember the run app function. So we have to, this one, if you just hover, if you hover on top of it, it gets a widget. So we have to create a widget for this. So for us to create a widget, we have to think whether we want a stateless widget or a stateful widget. So since we don't want to do any state management, we can use what we call a stateless widget. So for us to do a stateless widget, of course, you have to use class. So class, then you name your widget. So we're gonna name this my app. So it's just say my app extends. Sorry about that. So extends. So stateless. So stateless widget. You have to make sure that it's stateless widget like that. So automatically, if we do this and we hover on this red line, you notice that it will tell you that it's missing something.
Yeah, I think it should be stateless.
Sorry, not stateful, supposed to be stateless. Sorry about that. Yeah, so if you just hover on top of this, it will tell you that you're missing something. You're missing .build. So this is the method that's missing. We are supposed to override this method. Here now, what we're supposed to do is just say widget build. This is the method that we're supposed to do. And build, if we do this, build, if you hover on top of it, okay, just a minute. There are certain things that are missing that we're supposed to import. That's what we're supposed to pass in here. So we're supposed to pass in build context, and they're gonna name it context, as you can see here. Then we're supposed to, this one is an override. So we're supposed to say that it's an override. And it's supposed to return something, because this is one thing that we're expecting it to return a widget again. You get the point. So it's supposed to return something. So return, we are supposed to pass in a widget here. So now the widget that we're gonna pass in, it's called material app. It's called material app. So material app, it's like it's more like the parent when it comes to the tree of Flutter. So this one holds certain things that you're supposed to pass in this constructor. This is nothing but a constructor, by the way. So these are nothing but classes, all these things. So this is something to do with class. This one is a class. This one is a constructor of a class as well. And we have also created a class called my app. So here, since we want to return, we want this run app requires a widget. So we're supposed to pass in the name of this widget that we just created. It's called my app. So here, as you can see, it has stopped complaining. And from here, material app, there's certain things, if you just hover on top of that function or of that, actually like constructor, it will tell you different types of things that like it gets title, as you can see here. So if you pass in title, and you just hover on top of title here, it will tell you that it's a string. So we can just say maybe this application is called, I'll say boxes or something. So this is the name of the app. What else is important that we're supposed to pass in? So there are a number of things that you can pass in. There's home, navigation key, own generated route, all these things, you're gonna learn them how to use them. So there are different types of different things. So in this case, we're gonna use home. Home is one of the important things that you can use. So home, If you hover on top of it, it gets a widget. So home, whatever that you're gonna pass in here is the one that's going to be rendered here. It's the one that will be showing here. This is where you pass in, and this one gets a widget again. So we can create another widget. So in this case, we're going to create something that can easily change if we trigger something. Maybe when we click a button, we want it to change something, just like that. So in this case, we can create a stateful widget. So there's a plugin that you guys can utilize, that you guys can have. It's called extension, sorry. It's called Flutter. I think it's called Flutter widget snippet. I think this one. So this one, it's called Flutter widget snippet. So you can search for it. Make sure that if you forget, you can come back to the video and watch it so that you can download it. So this one makes it easy to do certain things like maybe like automatically. If I just say STF and I click here, it automatically create everything for me like this. You get the point. So here I can just easily say, what can we name this one? Just say my what? I don't know why I want. Can just maybe count or something like this. So there's this part and there's this part. So here what's happening is that a stateful widget is supposed to override the state. You're supposed to override the state. And here the state is nothing but an arrow function, an arrow method or function, whatever you guys call it. So this creates state, the method that you're overriding. The way we are overriding build, the way it's the same thing that we've done here. So we're just overriding create state. That's in stateful. And create state, it's supposed to return the state of a constructor of something. So in this case, it's a constructor of this class that we have created here, where this is the name of the constructor, or this is the name of the class, or it's called underscore count state. And there's a state, we're passing in the state, it's count, as you can see here. So this is the state that we're passing in. So from here, we are overriding again build here. So this is the guy that's responsible to retain different types of widgets. So mostly, whatever that you guys will be creating, these are the two, I would say, widget types that you'll be dealing with. Stateless widget and stateful widget. And these are the syntax that that you'll be dealing with. Yeah. So from here, I can pass in the name of this widget that we've just created called count. So I can just say count like this, then it automatically forget it to remove all the errors, as you can see here. So now we have this container here, as you can see. So in this container, a container is nothing but a container by its name, just like that. It just contains stuff. You get the point. It's more like a box or something. So this is a container. It's also a widget. These are built-in widgets. So inside the container, or we can just remove this. Okay, for now, I want to show you something why there's a need of the other widget that's coming. Let me just try to print something. Let me just try to show you guys something. So here we can just say maybe hello world. Sorry. Before I explain the next widget that's coming. So if we try to restart this, we restart this application. So if you want to restart, if you save and nothing is changing, you just click here where it's saying the load. There's a load button here. If nothing is happening, as you can see here, have you seen what's happening? Eh? So the hello world is showing up there and it doesn't look nice. I'm sure all of you guys can agree. This is not how application looks like. You get the point. So for you to make sure that everything is in line, as much as you can even, let me try if I can center this by using the center widget. Okay, yeah, so I can center it. So I've as much as you guys, you can say, okay, it at least maybe it's showing something, but it doesn't look nice. So for you to make sure that you're following the rules of Flutter, what you're supposed to do here, you're supposed to pass in a widget called the scaffold. Scaffold, it's called scaffold. So scaffold, it's one of the parent, I would say, parent widgets that you will be using to be on top of the widgets that you guys will be adding. So this scaffold, if you just hover on top of it, it has a number of things that you guys can pass in that you would want to see on your screen. So as you can see here, so there's app bar. So this one is something to do with the app bar that I was showing you, the blue one there. And it has body. So body has something to do with whatever is showing below that app bar. You know, yeah, this floating action button. That's a button that you were seeing here. So here, what we can do, we can first pass in, maybe let's just say body, and we pass in text again. So it's text, which it's a constructor, by the way. So it gets a string. So we can just pass in a string, hello world. And if we save this, you notice now it's white, at least it's showing that, okay, this is something, this is an application. So that's the whole purpose of the scaffold. So here, if we want, we can even center this text. So just say center, then we just say child, we pass in as whatever that, when you're dealing with widget, that you'll be passing the constructors, or you'll be passing other widgets as named parameters, as you can see here. So this parameter that we're passing, you're passing it to a child, and the child accepts the widget, as you can see here. So if we save this, you're gonna see that there's hello world there. So this hello world there, as you can see. So scaffold, it gives you that feeling. You get the point. It gives you all this, the functionality that gives you, that shows that this is an application. And I'm sure you guys can agree with me that this is nothing but what we were learning, because scaffold is nothing but a constructor of a class that accepts different types of parameters. These, whatever that we are passing, these are parameters. You get the point. So this body, it's if you hover on center, child gets a widget. Text is, if you check on text, it gets text, as you can see here, so which is string. You get the point. So if you pass in something else, it will complain because that's not what this constructor can accept. So that's a whole thing. That's a whole logic about widgets. Widgets are nothing but constructors. When you're calling a widget, sorry, you use a constructor. When you're creating a widget, you use a class. You get the point. So widgets are nothing but classes, and for you to call them, you use constructors. The way we're calling what's this? The way we were creating instances of different types of classes. You call a constructor, then you pass in the parameter, sorry, so that you can create an instance of that class. And that's exactly what's happening right now here, where you call the constructor, then you pass in the variable so that you can create an instance. So we have created an instance of a scaffold, and inside that scaffold, we have passed in a widget called center. And inside that center, we have passed in text as a widget. You get the point, and that's what's building all these things. Then before that, we created this customized widget called stateful widget, and we have named it counter. And we have also created this customized widget. It's called my app. So inside my app, we have done the same thing. We are returning, using the build method, we are returning a material app widget, which material app widget gets different types of, I would say, like parameters, named parameters. So there's a title, which gets a string. As you can see, that's as when I have passed in a string. There's a home parameter, which accepts or gets a widget. That's the reason why I have passed in a widget called counter, the one that we've just created down here. So all this is happening because of object-oriented programming, and that's what's happening here. So apart from all these things, you can also pass in app bar, you know, So app bar, if you just hover on top of it, it gets a preferred sized widget. So if you just say app bar, so that's a kind of widget that it gets. So here we can just say maybe this widget, we can just say maybe title. There's a field called title, and title gets a widget. So we can even pass in a text there like that. So just say maybe boxes or something. That's the title of this page or something. So if we reload this thing, it's gonna bring this up bar, as you can see here. It's a blue up bar, so there's boxes. If you want, you can even change the color of the up bar just by hovering up on top of up bar there. You can see other parameters that are there. There's background color, as you can see here. So if you just say background color, you hover on top of this, it will tell you what type of data that it gets. So it gets color. So here you can just say color. You get the point. So colors, I think it's called colors. So colors, I can change it to maybe yellow or something. It will even show you that it's yellow. Then automatically it will change there. So that's a whole point. That's how Flutter works. You get the point. So we are passing. It's more like we're using different types of pieces to build whatever that we're building here, as you can see. So that's what's happening. I know I can talk coding. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So there are different types of widgets that you guys will be using. So text is one of them. It's one of the mostly used widgets. The center, it's also one of the mostly used widgets. And there's other two widgets that you guys will be using. They're called columns and rows. So the way a row is, row, of course, it's horizontal, and the column is vertical. So for example, you want to put things, let's just say there's an item here, there's an item here, and there's another item here. So you can use a row. So like in this case, let's just maybe like, I'll give an example. So this is how a row looks like. So it gets different types of parameters. If you just do this, it also gets one of the parameters, it's called children. So you're supposed to pass in the children or the things that you want to align horizontally. So if you just hover on top of children, you notice that it's a list of widgets. So you can pass in as many widgets as you would want inside here. So let's just say maybe we want to pass in text here. So you can just say maybe, about one, and we can pass in another widget. We can just say maybe two. And if I reload this, you notice that the things will be in a horizontal, and I can even add some space between them. So like you can align them. There's main axis alignment. Main axis, it means this line, the horizontal line, that's main axis. So you can say main axis dot space between. So we want to have space between these items. When you reload, the other one will go the other side, then the other one will go the other side. So apart from just using just text, you can also use containers. Containers are one of the popular things that you guys will be using. So it's containers. So inside the container gets a number of named parameters. There's color, there's width, there's height. Like I said, it's nothing but a container. A container is more like a box where you can put things. So here we can maybe like even give it a height and width, and just say maybe we can just give it like 100 or something, and a width of 100 again. And we can just say maybe color, and just say color dot blue. Color, sorry, dot blue. Yeah. Yes. If we reload, as you can see here, so the box has just appeared there. So we can have another box, I would say. You can even have another box. You can just copy this and paste it there. So make sure this is a list, so you have to make sure that you put a comma to separate the items inside the list. So there's another box there, as you can see. So we can have different types of boxes. So we can have another box as well. So as you can see here, so you can put things horizontally using, horizontally using a row. You can also put things vertically using a column like this. Just change there, then things will be column like this. Then the main axis is now has changed its vertical. So here we can even say space between just like that. Then there's also cross axis. Cross axis, when you're using a column, it's the horizontal. But if you're using a row, it's vertical. So here, so if I just say maybe at cross axis center. So what I'm trying to say is that I want these things to be centered in a horizontal way. If you're using a column like this, if you're using a column. So that's how it is. So yeah, I think I've explained a lot, I guess. So apart from that, let me just explain the last thing, which is the folders. Then we can maybe like call it a day. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, then I sort of can answer some of your questions, you guys. Yeah. So here, the file structure actually, there's nothing that you guys are supposed to be afraid. Most of your times actually you'll be spending in this folder. This is the lib folder. This is where your dat files will be, and this is the main folder or the entry folder of your application. I would say this is where everything is when it comes to that Flutter or dat. Then there's another folder called Android, as you can see here. So there's Android and there's also iOS. So the Android and iOS folders contain the platform-specific code for your app. They are generated by the Flutter create command, the one that we just use, which is Flutter create, then the name of application. So in the Android folder, you find the app folder, which contains, so if you just open this, you find the app folder, this one, so which contains the Java code. I'm sure now it's Kotlin, if I'm not mistaken. So this is where the specific. So what's happening here is whatever that you're creating, anything to do with Android, if the application is being installed on Android, this is the folder that's handling the Android side. And if it's iOS, if it's on iPhone, this is the guy that's handling all the iOS specification code, or the code that enables all this application to run on iOS. That's what it means. Then when you look at, there's another folder called dot. Actually, the iOS, the Android, the Linux, the Mac OS, the web, they're all like similar folders. They just, they contain a specific code for the platform. So if you're building the application for Mac OS, it's pretty much the same thing. This is the code that's handling all that stuff. But whatever code that you guys will be doing, it will be in here where it's saying lib. So this is where you create your folders. You can also create your folders inside here so that you can organize your code. But just know that this is where your dat code is supposed to be. Then there are other folders like .dat2. The .dat2 in Flutter project. So the .dat2 is a hidden folder that is used to store information related to the development tools. So this one, it's a hidden. If you just see any folder, I think you guys, if you're using a Mac, you notice that if you just say .dat, and if you just go direct to the other folder, if you go direct to the folder here like this, these type of folders, they don't show actually. Even the dot name of the environment, let's just say more like this one, .git ignore. You notice that they don't show when you start like using this the directory or something. If you're exploring using the Explorer, they don't show. These are hidden files and hidden folders. So this is called git ignore. This one is for GitHub. So it handles all the files that it's supposed to ignore so that you don't push it to GitHub because they are not necessary to be pushed. This is the git ignore, you know. But this one is something to do with it's something to do with the dat development tools. This one, yeah. So you never touch this. That's one thing that I think I know. These are some of the folders that you never open. You'll be spending much of your time in this folder called lib. Then this one .idea, the .idea in Flutter project is hidden folder as well. It's used by the IntelliJ IDE. So this one is something to do with the IDE. So it's not a Flutter. I don't think it's not a Flutter folder. This one, the .ide, something to do with just the environment, the one that you're using, the IDE. Then now I've explained what Android. Then there's also the build. The build folder in Flutter project is where the output of the build process is stored. It is created automatically by Flutter when you run the Flutter build command, and it contains the files that you use to generate the final APK or API file of your app. So this is where the APK is, the one that has been installed on this emulator. So when you say I'm building, when you just click run, it starts building. So here inside build, then you go, if you go in app and you go on outputs, there's Flutter APK and there's APK. So this is the APK that has been installed here. If you want, you can even go direct to the folders there. You can get it and install it on your phone. It will work. So this is the whole thing. So this is where the the outputs are for different times. So if you're using iOS, there will also be a generated file that will be generated for iOS, just like that. So whatever that you're building, this is the folder that's handling all that stuff. Yeah. And what else? What else? What else? What else? There's another file actually that's important. It's called pubspec.yam. This one. So this one, I'm going to explain it in the next lesson. So this is where some of the libraries that you guys will be adding. If you want to add something to the Flutter project, this is the file that will be handling that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for today. The next, I'm sure I will go deeper. Oh, there's another folder called test. So this is the test folder. This is the folder that you'll be using if you want to test your application or something. So yeah, these are some of the things that you guys will teach you when you're finishing your project or something, so that you can be testing it or something like that. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Yeah, I think Eric, you can cut the recording so that we can maybe like